Hello! In this video I'm going to show you a technique that I use in many of my patterns, particularly my sundress patterns, of how to overlap the bands. Now it can be any stitch. Here I have a series of single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, and so on across. This could be, though, for you all half double crochets. This could be all single crochets, double crochets, chain 2 loops. It really can be anything, but the technique is always going to be the same. Most likely, but not always, you might have a buttonhole. So I just put that in for an example to show you. And you might end up doing an even number of rows, an odd number of rows. In this particular sample, I've done an even number of rows. As you can see, I've done 2, 4, 6. And here's my buttonhole over there. So what we're going to do, the technique involves overlapping a certain number of stitches. So I'm just going to kind of fold those over. And as you can see, here's the side that I just finished. You can see by the little, how the stitches were formed. And here would be my next side after turning. So most people question when they say the right side on the outside. You have to look at the pattern and see what it says. So this, in this particular pattern, let's see here, here we go. This is my right side. The reason I know it, well, even though it's not marked here, and I normally will put in a pattern to mark which side is my right side, so just pretend there's a little marker right here, and this is my right side. So if it says with right side facing, you want your right side on the outside facing outward. If it says with wrong side facing, then you're going to want your wrong side facing out. So let's go back to the right side, because this particular pattern says with right side. Now the next question that many people ask is that they don't understand which side goes on the outside, this one or this one. Well, with most of my girls' dresses, one little tip I had is you always want the buttonhole, if there is one, to be on the outside. So other than that, you just have to look and watch the pattern and see what it says. You just have to follow it real carefully, and it'll say the first 6 stitches or the last 6 stitches might be on the outside. But one little tip, again, is if there's a buttonhole for girls' dresses, you always want that on the outside, because remember, we're working from the top down. Here's the top, and this is going to be the dress coming down. And by the way, this is a much shorter sample. This is not the full size, although maybe it'll fit a little doll. But the technique now involves, what we want to do is overlap, depending on the pattern. It might say to overlap 5 stitches, 6 stitches, 4 stitches. It really doesn't matter. Again, it's all the same technique. So bear with me here. I'm balancing this camera on cans of tomatoes. So in this particular pattern, it wants me to overlap the first 6 stitches and the last 6 stitches. And we're going to have my buttonhole on the outside because I'm making a little girl sundress. So I'm going to look at my stitches, and one way to tell your stitches are look at those top little braids. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's my first stitch. So I'm just going to put my hook through there to kind of hold it there. And then you want to go through the first 6 stitches, the next row, together. So you know what this is going to do is form these together. Now, again, this next row you might be working double crochets, you might be working single crochets, half doubles, a combination. Just have to look at the pattern and see what it says. So what I'm going to do, oh, I didn't do my chain one for, oh, I did do my chain one. So back through here and back through here. And I'm going to continue in the same pattern that I was using, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and double crochet. So I'm going to do a single crochet. Then I'm going to line up the next 2 stitches, that one, and you see the next one is right here, so go through both of those together at the same time. 2, okay, then the next one, oops, I'm kind of looking through the screen of the camera, so don't be, alright, then we're going to do a single, and then a double, I really like this little stitch. It really gives it a nice little texture. Double, and single, like that, and then a double through the last stitch, like that. Okay, so this is what it kind of looks like. It's connected. Got the first 6 stitches, and what will happen is when it's done, turn it over, and this will be the back part of the dress, and you'll put a button right there, and they'll just kind of open and close. And this might be much longer, much wider, and again, different stitches. So now what we're going to do is continue working in the round, and again I'm going to keep with the same stitch pattern, single double, and just now we're working in a single thickness. So I'm just going to do this hopefully really quick, and if I don't learn how to edit this out, you can hopefully fast forward through this a little bit. See, single, double, all the way around. All the way around. Yeah, this texture, I tend to use it a lot. I know that a lot of, at least older kids, they get kind of, self-conscious with anything with holes, and of course crochet is quite holy sometimes, and this kind of alleviates a little bit of that. It gives us this nice texture. It just makes it a little bit more of a closed stitch. Cold, I think I'm catching a cold. So you go all the way around. Sorry if I was a little off camera there. I was looking at my work instead of the screen. All the way around. Oops. Okay, now we're getting to my last stitch, which is right here. Okay. Now here's the first stitch that we started the row with. So I'm going to go in there and join with a slip stitch. And there we go. All the way around. Excuse me. It's all the way, just one single thickness. So now your pattern might say to turn, or it might say to continue working in, the same side. I'm just going to turn so we can continue. Since all these rows we turned on, I'm just going to continue on here. So then we just continue following our pattern. I'm going to go single, double, and of course your pattern might be different depending on what it says. And we just keep working. So it's really nice because then you can try it on the child as you're working, for length, for fit, just to see. Because also when you're crocheting dress, a lot of times the weight of the fabric will pull down on stitches, and so it really helps to gauge to get a proper length, or the length that you really want to have. A lot of times when you work from the bottom up, you really can't. It's more difficult to do it, I think. So we're going to go all the way around as if, continuing in the pattern. And next time I promise I will have a tripod. Make this easier to see, hopefully. See, so I'm going all around. Here's my first stitch of the row. Continue on. And then your next row around, or even this round might be an eyelet round, and then you might start into the body of the dress. And so on and so forth. There we go. And our last stitch of the row. Oops, get back in there. That. And then again we're going to join with a slip stitch. Chain one, turn. So this is what it's starting to look like. So So your dress, this would be like the back of it, smaller version of course. And then you can just place your button. This seam is already made. You don't have to worry about any sewing or whip stitching things together, and it makes a really nice, just a really nice even look to it. And that'll just open, and again this might be much, you know, longer, or, and this of course will be really much, probably save this for a doll. But that's basically the technique, and you just continue in the pattern. So now you're working in the round. And the only time you work in the double thickness is just for the number of stitches in combining the band. Thank you.